And welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen, guys, bringing you your team every single day. A channel that is run by the fans for you, the fans, guys. Well, as always, this channel is all about bringing you the latest updates, the latest games, podcasts, live streams, loads of information, guys, all for the galactically massive price of nothing, free. All you've got to do to get that daily news, to get your daily Rangers fix, to get the podcast, to get the live streams is to hit that sub, ring notifications, set it to all so it always springs up on your mobile device or on your computer so you never miss out on any of the great daily content. Well, we've got an awful lot of news again to cover this morning, and it is obviously a match day, guys, as we build towards the game kicking off at 12:30 in 4.5 hours. As we take on St Mirren in what is the last game of the season, and probably what is quite an, I don't know, it's almost a friendly game, isn't it, in a way? St Mirren, nothing to play for. They've had a pretty bad run of form, just recently getting smashed by Aberdeen the other night and having a player sent off. You know, it could be that they play some of their younger players or perhaps some of their squad players to give them a bit of a run out, just to sort of give them at least a game as they finish their season. Obviously, they will be up for it, as any team are up for playing any of the old firm. But Rangers, I think as well, it'll be a game where we look to the future. That's what we've been told by Michael Beale. It's a game where we look ahead to next season. As he said in his press conference today, Wednesday was for saying goodbye. Today is obviously for looking ahead. You know, he obviously said as well that Morelos would not play. And it seems that, you know, from photographs seen with Morelos at Glasgow Airport, he has already headed back to Colombia. In addition to that news as well, that Glenn Kamara won't feature at all as well. Interesting news indeed. Obviously, given the fact that Kamara was not one of those 5 players who is out of contract and leaving, but it does seem that it's pretty much a Glenn Kamara, come and get him. We don't need him anymore here at Rangers, given the news that obviously Bailey Rice is in the squad in place of Kamara for tomorrow. And we will be talking about the game a little bit later on in this video, as well as obviously news about Antonio Cholak returning and obviously those players, you know, who could possibly make the team tomorrow. Well, let's get through a little bit of news first of all. Now, one of the most interesting stories to come out of Michael Beale's press conference yesterday was news about this man here, Rangers legend Stephen Davis. Now, obviously, Stephen Davis has missed this season with that after that freak training ground accident where obviously his knee was injured and now he's gone for the season. A really serious injury where he is still rehabbing. He's still obviously trying to come back to playing. So it does seem that Davis does want to return to playing and does want to not finish his career in this manner. And he said he doesn't want to go out as being a training ground accident and never playing again. You know, Davis, yes, is aging. Yes, he is 38 years old now, and you know, is very much, I think, nearing retirement. But you know, he has had 2 spells with Rangers and has been an absolute legend for the club. You know, loan spells, permanent spells, and has done absolutely phenomenal in his time at Rangers. You know, has won the Scottish Premier League in 2008, 2009, 2009, 2010, 2010, 2011, and in 2020, 2021 for that historic 55. Also won the Scottish Cup in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. 2008, 2008. Let's start again. 2007, 2008, 2008, 2009, and 2021, 22. And has obviously as well had 3-time Scottish League Cup final and appeared in both Rangers UEFA Cup final appearances. Now, Davis is currently still undergoing that rehab, and it has been said that Rangers will obviously allow Davis to maintain his position with the first team and continue his rehab at Rangers, even though he is obviously out of contract this summer. So, you know, that is, you know, Rangers again doing the right thing, you know, doing the right thing by their players, you know, showing that they really are a club that, you know, thinks about their players, that looks after their players, really, you know, showing that that whole family atmosphere that we have at this club. And that is certainly something, you know, this move shows. Now, what was obviously interesting was the fact of what Michael Beale said about Stephen Davis in the press conference today. He talked about the fact that, you know, that once Davis was fit again, if he obviously got fit again in terms of being able to play, that then at that point, Stephen and the club would make a decision as regards his future. But he did not want Stephen's career to finish like that. And he spoke about how the veterans, in particular Scott Arfield and Alan McGregor, had that fantastic send-off on Wednesday night. So it did sort of kind of allude to the fact that if Davis does manage to return at some point next season, that Rangers could well offer him a short-term contract, at least through to the end of the season, a chance to obviously say goodbye in the right way. Then he talked about coaching, and he talked about the fact that, that Rangers had been lacking a link between the academy and the first team, and that there was no legacy there. There was no kind of Rangers man there between as a link between moving from being an academy player into the first team. And that was certainly something that he wanted to look at and wanted to address on his coaching staff. In a way, I think kind of dropping a hint that Stephen Davis may well be offered a coaching role with the Ibrox club. Now, whether Davis wants to go into coaching, who knows? We don't know what conversations have gone on between Michael Beale and Stephen Davis. And, certainly if we could maintain and bring someone like Davis into the coaching setup, I think that would be an excellent move by this club. Stephen Davis is someone who fundamentally understands what it is to play for Glasgow Rangers, what Glasgow Rangers means to the players, to the fans, and to everyone involved with the club. And I think he could be certainly someone who could bring up and introduce young players to that culture, that real individual. What's the word I'm looking for here? That real Rangers style that you have to succeed at this club. And I think Davis would be that man. So it certainly seems that Beale is dropping a huge hint to me in the press conference today that Stephen Davis does have a future at this club, whether that be on the playing side or on the coaching side. And obviously that will be down to Stephen as to whether or not he wants to take up that offer and actually play next season and then go into coaching. Certainly something I hope that Stephen is considering. Retaining someone like Stephen Davis as a coach at this club, I think would be an excellent move for Rangers, and certainly would, I think, benefit a lot of young players as they seek to move on that pathway from academy to B team to first team. Certainly something that that the youth staff would welcome. I feel an experienced professional of such high quality and such high standing as Stephen Davis. Okay, so let's talk about this young man here, Malik Tillman. Obviously, Malik Tillman played a fantastic part for Rangers this season, had a very successful season. I know that obviously there's been some criticism about some of his old firm performances, but I think, we do need to sort of counter that with the fact that, Malik was playing his first season in professional first team football, having only made 4 appearances for Bayern Munich. Tillman this season made 28 appearances for Rangers and scored 10 goals. Now, obviously, Tillman set tongues a wagging the other night when he changed his social media profile pictures to him in a Rangers shirt, something that caused a number of Rangers supporters and Rangers reporters to perhaps rumour that this was a signal or a sign as regards the direction of Malik Tillman's future career. However, he has since changed those pictures again. I was having a look earlier, and it seems that now he has got a USA shirt on. So is it just a kind of a general change by the day, showing, I don't know, support, saying thanks to certain people for what they've done for Malik in his career? The situation, I think, with Tillman is certainly still where it was previously. It's very much, again, 50-50. Now, I know that a number of people, particularly those at Heart and Hand, David Edgar, have suggested that Tillman will not re-sign for the club and wants to stay and fight for a place with Bayern Munich. But it does appear that Thomas Tuchel doesn't see Tillman has been part of his plans for next season. Now, there is apparently a meeting going to take place next week between Malik Tillman, his representatives, and Rangers and Bayern Munich to finally thrash out his future and decide exactly what is going to happen with Malik and whether or not he will re-sign for Rangers next season. Obviously, a few fans have raised doubts as to whether we now need Tillman, given the fact we've obviously signed Kieran Dow, we have Cantwell at the club as well, and obviously Tom Lawrence to return next season. Do we need someone like Tillman in the team, and is it worth the outlay of £5.2 million? And it has obviously been said that that money has already been ring-fenced for Tillman, so that is separate to the transfer budget for this summer. So obviously that would not affect that budget that Michael Beale has to bring in talent this coming summer, looking for 4, 5, or maybe even more new signings. But it does appear that the final decision will be made next week as to what is going to happen with Malik and whether or not he will sign for Rangers or stay with Munich or sign for yet another club. Obviously I know fans are very divided on Malik Tillman. I know there are those that think he's a fabulous player, think that we should speculate to accumulate, think that he could obviously go on to be worth a great deal of money in the future, whereas there are those who obviously do not think that we need Tillman. And that we with the fact we've got Dow, we've got Cantwell, Hadji, and possibly, obviously Tom Lawrence returning as well. We don't need someone like Tillman. That is obviously something that has continued on as a discussion and will continue as a discussion right up until Tillman's future is decided next week. And I think that it will be next week when we can draw a line under what is happening with the Tillman situation. Certainly something that I think that will be extremely valuable for Rangers. Now, as I was talking in that little part there on Malik Tillman, I talked about obviously a number of very talented players that we obviously have ready for next season. And 3 of those players that I mentioned in that list obviously were Kieran Dowell, who was announced Wednesday as a signing or signed a pre-contract with Rangers. Obviously, the final deal can't be made until the 14th of June when the transfer window reopens. We have Todd Cantwell at the club now. Todd has been an absolute superstar since he's come from Norwich in January. Todd has firmly established himself as a fan favourite and has, has shown how good a player he is. Adding to that, obviously, Tom Lawrence. Now, Tom was exceptionally unlucky, sustaining probably the first serious injury of his career. And, in the short time that Tom played for Rangers before that injury, he certainly impressed with what he put out there. 5 matches, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 goal contributions in only 5 games. And, Rangers fans were, as I was, exceptionally impressed with, what Tom Lawrence brought to the club and how he played. Now, if you think about it for next season, a team that features Dowell, Cantwell, Lawrence, that is a phenomenally talented team that, you've got 3 very high quality players there. You could even play those as a 3 behind a main central striker with Raskin and Jack behind them. Dowell, who is exceptionally creative, can play wide, can thread through passes, very good from set pieces. Cantwell, we all know what Cantwell provides: work rate, effort, passing, goals. Absolutely superstar. Lawrence can play wide. He can play central. He's got good passing. He likes to take on a shot from distance. Again, has proved in those first 5 games that he did play before his injury what a quality individual he is. Now, I'm just saying to you guys, think of that as a 3-man behind a central striker. How good would that look? Dowell, Cantwell, Lawrence. They're 3 quality players who I think would more than put the fear up that lot from across the city and multiple other teams in this Scottish Premier League and next season's Scottish Premier League. 3 exceptionally talented, skillful players. In terms of what Michael Beale is doing, in terms of building this squad, in terms of building for the future, he is clearly taking what we've got and adding to it and bringing in quality. And I think, like I've just said there, Lawrence will be like a new signing next season coming back, given how little he played this season. The return of Tom Lawrence, I think, will really benefit this squad. And like I said, a midfield featuring Dowell, featuring Cantwell, featuring Lawrence, I think will be exceptionally attacking, exceptionally aggressive, and will certainly put teams under the cosh next season and help improve that thing that Michael Beale mentioned multiple times in his press conference today, the lack of a clinical edge to this team. And I think they will certainly help to provide that. Okay, before we talk about the St Mirren game tomorrow, one other transfer link that I mentioned yesterday was the link of this young man here, Ike Ugbo, who was born in England but is a Canadian international. Now, Ugbo is seen as someone who is a very promising young striker who came up through the youth system at Chelsea. Now, it was Thomas Tuchel who apparently had this man and tipped Michael Beale off to Ike Ugbo. And obviously Beale was involved with Chelsea's youth system at one point as well. This is a player who could quite clearly come in. Now, I don't think for a minute he would come in as a starting striker, but certainly could be someone who could provide a little bit of depth to the striker position. And Michael Beale did speak today about needing to bring in a number of strikers, given the fact that obviously we are losing Alfredo Morelos and could even possibly be losing Antonio Cholak this off-season. But it does appear that Tuchel was one of the people who who recommended Ugbo to Michael Beale. Thomas Tuchel, obviously ex Paris Saint-Germain, ex Borussia Dortmund, ex Chelsea, and present Bayern Munich boss. So could Ugbo be someone who adds to this team? Could he come in and provide a little bit of depth to that striker position? Anyway, talking of the game tomorrow, obviously, like I've said earlier in this video, the game tomorrow is very much a dead rubber in terms of the fact that there's nothing resting on it. St Mirren can't qualify for Europe now. We can't move any higher than second. We're 32 points clear of Aberdeen in third. There is literally nothing left to play for other than pride. And as we know, St Mirren will be bang up for the game, as most teams are when they come across Glasgow Rangers. They seem to raise their game, don't they, and want to play better. Last time we met St Mirren, obviously finished 5-2 to Rangers at Ibrox. One of the top moments, and that was Todd Cantwell's performance, and that 60-pass move finished off by Scott Arfield. Now, two players who are expected to feature tomorrow for Rangers are the returning Antonio Cholak and Bailey Rice. Now, Cholak was obviously name dropped in terms of, the fact that Alfredo Morelos is not going to play tomorrow and Antonio Cholak would come back into the squad. Now, obviously, the concern there around Cholak is how fit is he? He's been out for a long time. How much will he be able to contribute to the team tomorrow? Certainly the fact that Rangers have played without a central striker in a number of games towards the end of this season. Yes, Fashion Sakala has tried to fill in there, but I think we all know that Sakala is not a number 9. Alfredo played the other night, did okay against Hearts, but like Michael Beale said today, he will not be available. So I strongly suggest that Cholak will play at least some part, if not from the start, at least from the bench tomorrow. And it'd be quite good, I think, to have someone with something to prove up there. Whether or not Cholak stays, if the fact that he does want to move away to the Bundesliga, he's going to be in the shop window. He's going to need to put on a good performance for any prospective teams wanting to buy him. And if he wants to stay, then he needs to show Michael Beale that he is capable of leading the line, that he is capable of being that goal scorer that Rangers need, and will obviously provide excellent depth. I personally think we should hold on to him. I think he would provide excellent depth. I think we do need to have 4 strikers on the squad next season. Someone like Cholak, I think, would provide excellent depth. I don't see him as a starter necessarily or as a top number 9. I still do think we need to go out and buy someone like Joel Perreault, like Josh Madger, for example, to really lead the line. Some experience there, as Michael Beale talked about having in the team. Bailey Rice, although only 16 years old, has certainly looked very talented and composed for the B team this year, and also in that one appearance that he made at Livingston for Rangers, it looked very good. I would like to see Bailey Rice at some point tomorrow. I really do hope that Michael Beale at least loads the bench up with a lot of those young lads like like McCausland, like Rice, like Lyle, like Devine, and actually gives them an opportunity at some point and gives them a decent opportunity to play, 20, 25 minutes left, to bring them on and give them an opportunity to impress, to see what we've got in these youngsters and whether they can cope with SPL football. That is something that, we do need to see tomorrow. Personally, this is the team that I would pick tomorrow for the St Mirren game. I would go the back 4, obviously, of Ridvan, Suter and King and Tav. I think that's the strongest back 4 we have. We do, like we say, need to take this game slightly seriously. And obviously, we don't want to finish on a negative. I think Robbie McCrory should come back into goal tomorrow. And I think he will, given Michael Beale's comments today. Then I have Lundstrom and Raskin as the holding midfielders in front of that 4. Giving Lundstrom and Raskin obviously a bit more scope to go forward against St Mirren. Then a 3 behind the main striker of Cantwell, Sakala, and I'd like to see Alex Lowry given a start and given an opportunity to impress. I think we do need to see what we've got in Alex, and then obviously start with Tony Goals, Antonio Cholak up front as our main target man. I'd love to see the bench obviously stuffed with the likes of Bailey Rice, Aaron Lyle, Ross McCausland, Robbie Yaw, Adam Devine, Yanis Hadji, obviously, as well. And those players to get on at least get an opportunity to play tomorrow and to impress tomorrow against St Mirren. Well, guys, let me know who you would start. Who would you play tomorrow? What would your team starting lineup be for the St Mirren game? Let me know any of the comments you've got to make on these news that we've brought you today, our match day news ahead of our game at 12:30. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. Thank you for all your support to this point. And if you haven't yet hit that sub, please hit that sub. Please ring that bell. And if you can give the video a like, guys, it would be greatly appreciated. Well, I'll be back to speak to you again really soon here on Glasgow Rangers Nation.